A lot of people ask us, how do you estimate the backlog? And of course, as Ed talked about earlier, going out and getting a handle on the backlog is very, very important, but it's very costly to go every campus, every building, probably about 10 cents a square foot. So if you're looking at 32 million square feet, it would cost you $3 million plus to be able to do a backlog study. The question that people ask us is there ways that you could model this and figure out from your analysis as to whether or not that's necessary? And so I brought a specific example of a campus where the campus estimate was about $200 million. This is a campus about 3 million square feet. And you could see where they are benchmarked on the bottom against other campuses. And in this state, this campus felt that they had one of the worst backlogs of the state. But when we benchmarked their estimate, you can see that it was about $50 a square foot. So in fact, it was one of the better ones across the state. So we ran a different type of analysis that actually looked at their buildings against other buildings that were of similar type of buildings. Now, we didn't go and walk the space and analyze every component of the building, but we basically used a building level model where we had data from other comparable buildings. So if they had a 30-year-old residence hall, we looked at what typically is broken in 30-year-old residence halls across the country. We came up with about a $400 million estimate, which put this at just shy of $120 a square foot, which made more sense to them. But we weren't satisfied with that, so the third analysis we did is a financial analysis. We looked at their spending patterns for 10 years and what they spent money on, and could we estimate, based on what they spent money on, what the backlog of need would be and how far short they were of certain targets and what they were deferring as part of their financial program. And again, we came up with a number right around $400 million. So triangulating these three together, we feel that that number, somewhere in the area of $300 to $400 million, is probably a good number that gives us a sense on that campus as to what's going on. Now, that's a high-level number, but it's good for planning and it's good for a state board to have that kind of number. And if, in fact, you say, well, then let's drill down. A state where we did this across the state, they've identified 3 or 4 campuses now that they want to go in and do a detailed backlog study. But for the other 10, they're looking at it and saying, well, no, I think we're in pretty good shape on that. We've got a pretty good estimate. And that's a way of saving money but getting a handle on what the backlog needs are of a campus.